The moment you truly see who is sabotaging you is like a snap, a breaking of illusion. It is painful, yes, but also liberating. The curtain falls, the theater ends, and suddenly everything makes sense. The passive-aggressive compliments, the advice that felt more like disguised criticism, that feeling of always being in debt, that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. You finally see the pattern. But then comes the second impact. What to do with this truth? This is where most people get stuck. Because facing the problem is already a shock. But acting requires strength, courage, positioning. And that is not always easy when it comes to someone you love, live with, or respect. Someone who is present in important moments of your life. Someone who may have even helped you in the past. And because of that, you think you can't distance yourself, but you can. And you should. Recognizing the pattern is the first step, but it means nothing if it is not followed by action. You can spend years reading books, doing therapy, watching videos like this. But if you keep allowing this person to access you, to belittle you, to affect you, nothing changes. Knowledge without action is just intellectual distraction. Carl Jung said, "You do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This means that recognizing toxicity is not enough. You need to act on it. You need to set boundaries, and you need to be ready for the reactions. Because when you start to distance yourself, these people will not accept it easily. They will accuse you of ingratitude. They will flip the blame. They will say you are exaggerating, that you have changed, that you are cold. They know they are losing control over you, and they will fight to keep it. And that is where the real test lies. Will you give in to guilt, to emotional manipulation, or will you stand by your choice until the end? Will you go back to the cycle because you're afraid of seeming too harsh? Or will you, for the first time, protect your energy as if you were protecting your own life? Yes, it is difficult. It will hurt. But failing to take a stand hurts even more. Because as long as you do not break this pattern, you keep spinning in circles, reliving the same pains with new faces. In the next part, I will show you how to cut this cycle definitively, how to distance yourself without guilt, how to regain your strength without falling into the emotional game of those who need you to remain weak. It is time to learn to protect yourself, not out of revenge, but for self-love. If what you're hearing resonates with you, you'll find real value in my ebook, Beyond the Shadow. It breaks down Jung's core ideas and gives you tools to understand yourself more deeply. Link is in the pinned comment. Breaking up with someone who hurts you is one of the hardest decisions you will make. Not because you still believe that this person will change, but because, deep down, you have been conditioned to believe that distancing yourself is synonymous with weakness, selfishness, or ingratitude. That forgiving is always noble, that enduring is a sign of maturity. But here's a truth that no one tells you. Enduring the unbearable does not make you evolved. It makes you an accomplice to your own destruction. Distancing yourself is not weakness. It is self-preservation. It is understanding that not every bond deserves to be maintained, that there are ties that are not bridges, they are chains, that some relationships are not spaces for growth, they are emotional traps that keep you stagnant, and you owe nothing to those who consume you. Loyalty is not servitude. Love is not unilateral sacrifice. Carl Jung said that we heal to the extent that we stop resisting our own process of individuation. And this process of becoming who you really are requires breakups. It requires you to undo the silent pacts you have with people who wish to keep you small. That you abandon the fear of seeming cold and start protecting your energy with the same intensity that you protect those you love. because you need, finally, to include yourself in that equation. But how to do this in practice? Start with emotional distancing. Stop justifying yourself. Stop trying to fix the relationship. This person knows what they are doing. They just didn't expect you to realize one day. And when you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop trying to maintain the connection, their game loses power. Silence in these cases is more powerful than any speech. Then, establish clear boundaries. It may be that you cannot cut contact immediately. Perhaps this person is part of your family, professional, or social circle. That's okay. But that doesn't mean you need to continue exposing yourself emotionally. Learn to protect what is yours, to shield your energy, to not fall into the trap of false affection again. And finally, prepare for loneliness, because it will come, and it is frightening, but it also heals. In the void left by these people, something new can emerge: your strength, your authenticity, your autonomy. When you distance yourself from those who drain you, you reconnect with yourself. But be careful. Distancing is only half the journey. The other half is what you do after that. Because cutting the tie is the beginning. True transformation happens when you fill that empty space with something that truly strengthens you. And that's what we will talk about now: the silence you leave and the impact it causes. Because when you leave the scene, the other has to face what you are sustaining, and that's when everything changes. When you finally step away, something happens, and it's not just within you. The silence you leave behind echoes. It echoes in the mind of those who used you as a mirror, as a shield, as an emotional crutch. And that echo is unbearable for those who never learned to deal with their own emptiness, because suddenly you are no longer there to absorb the projections, to alleviate the guilt, to carry the responsibility that was never yours. Suddenly, the game is over, and the other person finds themselves facing what they avoided at all costs: themselves. That is what your departure reveals. Absence is more powerful than any confrontation, because when you disappear, the other is forced to look at what they always hid behind your presence. And then the truth emerges. Love was control, affection was possession, admiration was envy, and the bond was a prison. But this process is not just about the other. It is, above all, about you, about reclaiming your energy, rebuilding your identity, breaking away from the character you were forced to play. When you choose to leave draining relationships, you begin to inhabit your own life with more awareness. You start to say no without guilt, to listen to yourself, to prioritize yourself, to trust your intuition again, that voice that always knew but that you ignored out of fear of being too harsh. The truth is that you owe nothing to those who tried to diminish you. What you owe is to yourself: respect, clarity, strength. And from the moment you refuse to continue dancing the dance of emotional manipulation, you regain control. You free yourself. So, if this video resonated with you, truly, leave a comment. Tell me, what was the moment you realized someone close was draining you? When did the penny drop? Sharing your story can help others who are still trapped in this invisible cycle. Let's transform this space into a place of awareness, not of complicit silence. And if this resonated within you, don't stop here. The next video is important, very important. Keep watching, because the process of liberation has started now, but it is far from over, and you deserve to see it through to the end. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and remember, stepping out of your comfort zone may hurt, but staying in it costs you your soul. Choose the discomfort of truth. Choose your freedom. See you in the next video.